So once again, welcome everybody. It's good to see you. Let's start out like we normally do, a short period of bell meditation. So wherever you are behind your avatar, just get into a nice meditation posture. And as I ring the Ching bell, just focus on the sound of the bell. Get that deep listening going. Absorb some Dharma today. You'll probably get distracted. It happens to all of us. When it does, just gently remind yourself and go back to focusing on the sound of the bell. Then after that, 3 recitations, and then on with the talk for today. So I'll give you a moment, get into a nice posture, and we'll begin at the sound of the bell. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the teacher. I go for refuge to the Dharma, the teaching. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the taught. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I have taken refuge in the Buddha. I have taken refuge in the Dharma. I have taken refuge in the Sangha. 3 pure precepts. Cease to do harm. Do only good. Do good for others. Bodhisattva vow. However innumerable all beings are, I vow to lead them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Swaha. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody today. Recently, last couple of weeks or so, somebody asked me a question about the 6 realms, the whole Buddhist heaven and hell thing. And while I hope I gave that person at least some good answer, I thought today we're going to dig into it a little deeper, but for kind of a different reason. And I think you'll catch on here. So what we're going to talk about today is the 6 realms of samsara. So, and you'll see where I'm going here with this. But we're going to immediately jump to Ihai Dogen. Japanese Zen master, did a lot of great things for Japanese Zen and Chinese Zen, by the way. He wrote this book called the Bendawa. He wrote it around 1240 of the current era. And he did this after he had spent years studying Buddhism in China and then returning to Japan. But when he returned to Japan, he kind of had some different ideas, right? What he had at the time when he started to present it to the Japanese Buddhists was considered a really radical view of Buddhist philosophy, and also a really radical view of meditative practices. And we talk about Ihai Dogen quite often about the meditation part, but there are other things that he came back with that were just as important and just as groundbreaking for its time. In that particular text, the Bendawa, he brings the abstract concepts of Buddhist heaven and hell, the whole realms idea, he brings it down to earth. He offers that people already see themselves as living in heaven, living in clouds of their own perceptions and preferences. So our own personal little heaven, right? Kind of surrounds us with all this nice soft white clouds and all that. Well, they choose to do this because it's comfortable and it's easy. Or what they are doing is choosing to engage in what the contemporary Buddhist teacher, Stephen Batchelor, calls unwholesome habitual reactivities. So they would rather deal with the unwholesome rather than deal with reality. This is actually what he said in his book, The Bendawa. People these days are heavenly beings who live in clouds. Although the life of heavenly beings is comfortable, in Buddhist cosmology it is said that they feel sadness because there are 5 things that cause them to fall from the clouds. When they grow old, their feather garments wear out. Sometimes the clouds also become thinner and consequently they tumble down to earth. People who live in clouds can't help but fall when the clouds disappear. As long as they dwell in clouds of concepts, they live in this kind of precarious condition. The 6 realms of samsara are simply the way people live, losing touch with the reality of life, floating around in space. These 6 realms are hell, the realms of hungry ghosts, animals, titans, human beings, and heavenly beings. People lose their heads by treating abstract concepts as if they were real. The 6 realms are a measurement of the degree to which one does this. So saying here that we're the ones that put ourselves in the 6 realms, but we don't do it when we die, we live them every day from birth to death. Kind of puts a whole new light on it. Kind of makes them, takes them from the realm of the metaphysical, or even the mystical, if you will, and puts them right in your lap. Takes that ideal and makes it really real. What Master Dogen described as abstract concepts were, in his time and even now, are metaphysical concepts. They're metaphysical in that we can't prove them through normal experience. They transcend our ability to really know. Now here, talking about the heavenly realms, right? The hell and heavenly realms that we speak of in Buddhism. But let's step away from what cannot be proven at this time, and let's focus on what we can experientially verify, what we can actually prove through our existence and through our experience. This is what Dogen offered. He offered the 6 realms as metaphors for the habitual reactivities of human beings, wholesome and unwholesome ones. Now, they're not so much realms that a person gets reborn into after death. Instead, they are realms a person chooses to live in between birth and death during their life. They are the habits and dispositions that can hinder spiritual and personal development, and that once realized and abandoned, can bring us down from those clouds of perception and preference. Dogen said that the six realms of samsara become evident when we see how people choose to live. How do they choose to be from birth to death? How they opt to ignore or deny the realities of life. So we're going to go over each realm. But again, we're looking at it in a different way here. We're looking at it as what you choose to live in, how you choose to live from birth to death, or how others have chosen to live. Because I'm going to ask you to think about examples that you might be able to think of. Some of them are going to be really easy, some of them not so much. Don't need to like blurt them out or write them out or anything. I just want you to think about them. And I want you to think, are you finding yourself stuck in some or all or parts of these ideas of samsara, these six realms? So here we go. I'm going to start out with the biggie, the hell realm. Just sounds terrible, doesn't it? Oh, by the way, in Pali, that's Naraka, in case you wonder. But anyway, the hell realm, man, it's the most terrible and damaging a way that a person can choose to live. Notice that wording, choose to live. You choose these, or somebody else chooses them. So hell is living a life where everything that happens to you, doesn't matter what it is, from dropping a pencil on the ground to being run over by a car, it invokes anger or aggression or violence or greed or envy, some unwholesome habitual reactivity. But you choose it, right? It is a life dominated by ego. You know, this is an ego that's always on the attack. Or at the very least, it's always in active defense mode. Like, what, me? I didn't do it. What, me? Oh no, I'd never do that. Anyone that attempts to offer, say, some loving kindness, or maybe a little compassion, maybe some generosity, or even trust, gets rejected. They get driven away in favor of seeking out others that have chosen the hell realm. So birds of a feather flock together kind of idea. So this is what Ehai Dogen thought of as the hell realm right here on earth. Yeah, Zillion says, misery loves company. Yeah. So we can see all around us examples of people that have chosen to live in the hell realm. You may know them personally, you may see them on the news, but it doesn't take much to recognize a person that's made that choice. Now, I hope none of you have made that choice. I don't think you have, because if you'd made that choice, I don't think you'd have chosen to come here, right? To sit with the Sangha, with all us like-minded people, right? So the hell realm is a choice. My personal favorite is the realm of the hungry ghosts. I like this. I love the visual of the hungry ghosts. These are denizens. Oh, by the way, it's preta, in case you're wondering what the Pali word was. But these are the denizens of this particular realm of the hungry ghosts. They're usually shown as being bloated and distended stomachs. They have little tiny mouths and really long, thin necks. This is a pictorial description of how a person who chooses to be a hungry ghost views their self and the world around them. They are always looking outward for satisfaction of their unnatural desires and cravings. So that long neck, right? They're always reaching outward from themselves. Their hunger is insatiable, with addiction and obsession most often their defining personal characteristic. They embody the most dangerous aspects of the second noble truth, that unnatural craving leads to suffering. So the hungry ghost, that's somebody that's always looking to fill that desire, right? To fill that craving. But they never find release from it, right? They never find joy or contentment or happiness from it. Think about it. Do you know somebody like that? They might not exhibit all of those, but maybe they have a little bit of it. I think there are many of us that have smatterings or little bits maybe of some of these in us anyway. So the realm of the hungry ghost. The next one is the animal realm. A person who chooses to live in the animal realm clings to a profound ignorance of reality and is content in that view. I don't really know what reality is all about, but I'm good with that. I mean, you think about your pets. And I don't want to diss on our pets, but I'd like to use them for an example. My dogs, they don't really know what reality is. They know what their perception of it is, right? Their very limited perception of it. So you could say they were ignorant of reality. And they're very content in that view. Hey, somebody feeds them, lets them outside, takes them for a walk, and throws a toy for them. They're good with that. But as you and I know, there's much more to it than just that, right? Prejudice of all sorts arise in the thoughts and actions of somebody that's in the animal realm. Oh, I don't like that because of this. Oh, I don't like that because of that. They find solace in things like racism, discrimination, and stereotyping. Now remember, we're talking about the human version here, right? Not really an animal. So these are the people that they want that almost fighting between each other, right? There always seems to be some kind of conflict. Anything that is different or causes any sort of discomfort is to be avoided and decried as unnatural or unnecessary, a la wearing masks. Somebody that refuses to wear a mask today in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, they are living in the animal realm. And now we can make a distinction here about the dogs again. Animals are the same way. If something causes them discomfort, then what do? They try to avoid it. That's how you train a dog, right? If they feel that they've done something that makes you uncomfortable, makes them uncomfortable, then they try not to do it again. So the animal realm, by the way, in Pali is Tiryagani. And then there's the realm of titans. This is Asura is the name, the Pali word. There's a deep, abiding sense of entitlement that marks those who choose to live in this realm of titans. I mean, it sounds like an entitled area just by the name, right? Now, there was a Master Ji of the Tian Tai school of Buddhism. He offers a really clear description of those that choose to live in this realm. This is what he says. They all see themselves as superior to all others, and they have no patience for those they view as inferior or anyone that attempts to make them see the error in their view. They might seem to embrace justice, and wisdom, and even faith, but they do so from a lofty height where they look down on others for their own belief in such ideals. Realm of the Titans. Again, think about it. Do you know somebody that might be living in this realm? They might live in this realm and maybe they have a country home in the hell realm. The realm of Titans, that is, excuse me. So, think about the realm of Titans. Think about the idea of looking down on others. Okay? Here's an example of that, kind of a mild example. If you are a Buddhist who looks down on other Buddhists because you say either, oh no, my tradition is the best, or my tradition is the only, or we do it this way and that's the only right way, you're taking a little vacation in the realm of Titans. When you do that, you're kind of entering into that realm for a moment. So we can come in and out of these realms as we go through life. Now, we want to stay mostly out of them when we can, right? But that's our choice and our responsibility. Then the heavenly realm, or Deva. This is where all view themselves as godlike beings. This is a little step above the realm of the Titans. These are beings who wield power through their wealth and their long life. Their existence is one of happiness that arises from wanting for nothing, a sense of privilege that just seems to overwhelm the privileges of all others. This view of life blinds them to the suffering of others, so that empathy, non-existent. Compassion, loving kindness, and wisdom, these are lost to them. So I've often had folks say, oh yeah, what I want to shoot for is the heavenly realm, without really understanding what that heavenly realm really means. From a Judeo-Christian idea, heck yeah, we want to head for that heavenly realm, right? But in Buddhism, it's a little different, especially when we look at these as metaphors for how we live our lives. Lastly is the human realm. This is Manusya. Okay, the human realm. This is the only realm that they say offers the only opportunity to escape samsara, to get out of it. Right? To set aside the hindrances and the unwholesome habitual reactivities that bind one to suffering. So, get you out of the heavenly realm, the realm of Titans, the animal realm, the realm of hungry ghosts, and the hell realm. Make no mistake, though, there are hindrances in this realm of thinking and acting, too. Look, it's called the human realm. We're all human beings. We know that, some pretty negative stuff can go on in this realm. But in the human realm, emotional phenomena, such as doubt and unnatural desire and overwhelming passion, are the hindrances that need to be realized and then allowed to fall away. To arrive in the human realm, you have mostly rid yourself of the unwholesome habitual reactivities that are hallmarks of those other realms, the other 5 realms. And the next step on the path then can take you out of samsara, even if it's just for a moment. Right? So let's look at what we've talked about before about moments of enlightenment. That's what we're talking about here. Those moments when you come out of samsara, that's your moment of enlightenment. And it may be a moment, it may be a day, it may be an hour. If you've practiced, studied, and worked really hard, maybe it's the rest of your natural life. But we have to seek it out. And that's what our Buddhist practice is for. Right? Is to seek out ways to find ourselves more in the human realm than in these other realms. Because your time in any of the realms, your choice. You choose it. You can't blame anybody else for it. Now, does that mean there weren't causal factors from someone else or some other thing that kind of helped push you in that direction? Absolutely, there was. But in the end, it's your responsibility, your choice, whether you decide to stay there. This is Dharma. This is reality. To completely rid yourself is perfection. And that's a state that few of us, or if any of us, can reach. Perfection. But all of us, we have not only the opportunity, but we have the ability, we have the backup, if you will, from other people, that we can refine our personal character. We can refine how we live. We can refine how we are. We can do this so the unwholesome, these other little gates to these other 5 realms, they don't open as much, or maybe they don't open as far. So those unwholesome things rarely arise. and you get to attain more and more glimpses of life beyond samsara. Master Dogen's realization that the realms were metaphors for this broad range of unwholesome human conditions is something that, in my experience, has great value in a contemporary pragmatic Buddhist practice. For example, if the thought arises that, man, life just feels like hell right now, well, that's the time to take a rigorously self-honest look at how you're choosing to live your life. Have you slipped into the realm of hungry ghosts, for example, without even realizing it? You weren't being mindful or aware. Have you slipped into the realm of titans because you started looking down on someone thinking, well, I'm better than they are? It can be a hell of your own creation. It can be a heaven of your own creation, or it can be reality. The great thing is that you can choose to leave the realm of hell or the hungry ghosts or the titans or the heavenly realm. You can choose to leave them. But again, it's up to you. If you think these negative realms, if you will, are factors in how you think and act, then it's time to engage some rigorous self-honesty. It's time to look, or maybe go to the teacher and say, this is kind of what's going on. What do you think? Or talk to a Sangha member that you trust, and you should trust them all by now, and say, have you encountered this? Because that's what we're here for, to help each other. This is a path. I kind of look at this Buddhist path that we're on. I don't know if any of you have ever done any long distance hiking, like on the Appalachian Trail, for example, on the AT. You're on that path and you're basically walking it by yourself, whether you're with someone or not, kind of like Buddhism, right? And along the way, people have set up points where they come out and they hand out free water and free snacks, or they have health care for people that have blisters all over their feet or whatever. So they have folks along the way that are there to give solace and to give help. It's the same way on our Buddhist path. There are people along the way that can help us stay out of these realms, or they can help us leave them. We just have to have the courage to ask. We have to have the courage to engage in rigorous self-honesty to say, am I in one of these realms? Am I even a little bit in one of these realms? And if I am, how the heck can I find my way out? So, take some time. Think about these realms. Roll them around in your head. Let the neurons mess with them a little bit. Engage some rigorous self-honesty and see what you can find out about yourself. By the way, a human being's immediate thing might be to, but I wonder if I could figure out what other people's realms are too. And you probably can, a little bit. But for the most part, we are the only ones that can really know what realm we've decided to live in. Again, personal responsibility, personal choice.